Okay.
Hi everyone, this is Zeeshan Usmani. I have with me Jacob with me. We are going to talk about few new visas. There is an entrepreneur visa for America for people from Pakistan, India, and Afghanistan. We'll talk about EB3. We'll talk about B1, B2. We'll talk about a few other things. So thank you, Jacob. Thank you so much for joining me in today. I have few
Thanks, Zeeshan.
questions for you from my
Of
audience.
course.
So let's talk about the NIW first. We've been talking about the NIW National Interest Waiver. What's the update? Do you see people are getting it? Do you see people are from Pakistan or India are getting it? What are the approval odds and how one can go about it?
So, I'm just going to say one line about what is the EB2 National Interest Waiver. It's basically a self petition that most professionals will qualify for it. And the idea is that the reason why it's a self petition because the person can show their skills, their expertise, and how they can benefit the United States. And we take all these background, we put together in the package, and we apply. And like I said, we've been working together for a while, and I can tell you that right now approval rates are close to 85, 87%. It's pretty high for NIW. Now it will continue to stay high all through the end of the year, and until the elections, and then after that we really don't know. So we'll tell people, if you have an interest to apply for the national interest waiver and you feel like you qualify, get an assessment, see how you qualify. We do that right now with a lot of people, and we're working on that right now. See if you qualify, and then if you do, it's good to apply now because we know the process and it's fairly quick. Some of these I-140s get approved in less than a month if they have the good criteria.
And what is the minimum criteria?
So the minimum criteria for NIW is we either look at somebody that has either a master degree or a few years experience, or if they don't have a master degree, at least a bachelor degree and 5 years experience. And typically they have to do something in their field. Let's say if you're an engineer, maybe you're working on a kind of project right now. Maybe it's an AI, maybe it's blockchain, maybe something that you're working in that can show the uniqueness of you in your industry. And most people that work at least 5 years, they can show progressive experience, and it's really not that bad. You don't have to be a Nobel Prize winner. A lot of our clients who are coming professionals from Pakistan are qualified, and they're getting these approvals pretty good.
And you don't need labor certification or the job offer, right?
No. And the beautiful thing about the national interest waiver is that you don't need a job offer, you don't need labor certification, you don't need to invest any money to get a green card. It's all pure based on what you've done in your career. And again, bachelor, 5 years experience, a good industry, we can get it done.
So do they need to apply from back home, or if they have B1 visa, they can come in United States and apply directly from here and apply
So
for citizen
if
status?
people don't have tourist visa, the whole thing can happen from Pakistan. They can apply from back home. If they have tourist visas, we recommend to clear the first step. The first step in the process is an immigrant visa. That takes about 6 to 8 months. Once they get that approved, they can come on a tourist visa and see if they want to wait here or maybe switch to a different work visa while the process is pending. But many people who have tourist visas clear step number one, immigrant visa, the I-140, and then they come to the United States on their tourist visas if they want. But
Okay.
otherwise, you can be in Pakistan and do the whole thing.
Sure. How about EB3? I recently was talking to one of the couple. They came from Pakistan to US. Somebody promised them that they will show them a job. They need to work for like 3 years, and spend crazy amount of money. A lot of fraud going on in
Yeah,
EB3. So just explain in plain simple English what is EB3, how one can apply, and if
right.
somebody can apply from Pakistan as well.
So the EB3, and remember, EB2, EB1, all these are green card categories within the immigration law. So EB3 is just category number three. And what it is, it's divided into two sections. One section is skilled labor, which means that people that have a degree and no experience, or it's even good for unskilled labor. And that's what the fraud is. So you can be working in hospitality, you can work as a waiter, you can work in construction. A lot of these jobs requires unskilled workers, and many employers can file for these people. But the problem is that it takes a long time to get this green card. Right now, there's a backlog. So the wait time is 3, sometimes even 5 years, depending on which category you apply in which state. So the fraud in this industry is that employers that say, yeah, we'll get you the EB3, we'll get you a job, pay us $30,000 or whatever they charge. But at the end of the day, when they start the process, there's no job at the end of the day because it took so long. They already paid the money, then they disappear. So we caution people. If you're going to go for EB3, you need to have a contract for a real employer. You have to make sure you know who that employer is, and you have to have in writing an understanding that they'll wait for you, and you don't have to pay them upfront because it's the process has so many steps. Why would you pay somebody all this money upfront when you don't even know if you go there? So we caution people. It's a good visa if you have a good job offer and it's real. But there's so much
So,
fraud because so many people they say, "Oh, in 5 years we can disappear." They're not going to know about it.
so let me make it very simple. So I am living in USA. I have multiple companies. If I want to bring in somebody, I would offer them a job, and this is what they need: job offer letter, and they can apply for EB3 from Pakistan, and how long will it take them to get the visa,
Okay.
and they
So,
don't
for
need to
example,
be
let's say you
educated.
have a company in the United States. The first step that the employer has to do is they file a labor certification with the labor department. Okay. That takes about a year. That does nothing for the case. It just tells that this employer has a need for these employees, for this employer that is unskilled. Okay. Once we get the labor certification, that employer goes step number two. They can file the immigrant visa, I-140, and then they secure a priority date. And then the employee just has to sit home and wait 3 years, 4 years. As soon as the dates become current, if they're back home, then they're going to go to the US Embassy and get their visa. Throughout this process, the employer still maintains contact with an employee to update them. Listen, I just finished I-140. We're good. Let's keep waiting. You know what I mean? That's how it's going to work. But the nice thing about EB3 is that if you don't have any skills, like a degree, if you don't have any education, but you have a commitment from an employer, it's worth it as long as it's somebody that you can trust. Because
Sure.
it's good to wait 5 years, but at the end of the day, you're gonna come to the US with a green card.
And how it's different from H1B?
Well, it's different from an H-1B. H-1B is a work visa. EB3 is a green card. H-1B, every year you can apply for it. And if you get it, you can come to the United States right away. So H-1B, there's a lottery because there's a limited number of visas, but we can apply for it in March of every year. And if it's approved, you can come in October of that same year. So the wait time is less than a year if you get selected in the lottery, right? Now, the nice thing about this H-1B is that we're looking at this. I usually say to people, look at it as a parallel path. One path is the green card, which is EB2, EB3, and another path is your visa journey. H1B work visa, E2 investor visa to come into the United States, or Zishan. We have a lot of people that apply for the O1. O1 is a special visa for professionals who are in the industry at least 5 years experience. They did something worthy to mention, and they can apply for the O1 visa. The O1 visa, you can apply for it at any time. If you're a professional engineer, architect, entrepreneur, O1 visa is very, very popular right now because there's no cap. You can apply for it anytime. You need a job offer, or you can do it for yourself if you have your own company. Now, the nice thing about the O1 visa is if you get it, you come to the United States, and then you can wait for your EB2, EB3 inside the United States. Doesn't matter how long it's going to take. So
Yeah,
let's not forget about the O1.
I came on O1 as well. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. How about this entrepreneur's visa? This is a new thing, the new rule. What you can tell.
So we're talking about the International Entrepreneur Rule, and what it is, it's a program that started, over 7 years ago. And what it is, it's designed for entrepreneurs that maybe not necessarily meet the O1 requirements, maybe they don't meet the EB2 requirements, or for these entrepreneurs that need immediate options to be able to come here. That was the idea. But the problem is, so the way it works is that you need to have a business idea or startup. You have to already have to launch the startup. It's not just an idea. You must have at least $250,000 in investment secure from accredited investors. If you don't have this investment secure, you won't qualify for this international parole. And only 3 founders from each startup could qualify for this. Now, the advantage of this is that if you're for some reason waiting for the NIW or for the green card, and you want to be able to do this because you just got funding, that was the reason why they started. The problem with this entrepreneur parole rule is that it is quite slow right now because there's only about 100 of these applications currently being processed with immigration, and they're a little bit slow. So what is nice about it is that people who started working on the international parole rule, many of them switch to the NIW in the meantime because they already built a startup, they already show the government that they do it, and many of them get approved really fast for the NIW because they've already built a startup, because they already raised money. So while working on the parole itself, they can already start working on other visas because they already accumulated so much credibility. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't look at this as a guaranteed way to be able to come to the United States, because it's only for 5 years and it's like a temporary status. But it's something to know for somebody that wants to be able to show that they raise investment money from investors. It's also good for investors to know that if they invest in somebody, they can get this particular parole. So I think it's more like it's a confidence sign for entrepreneurs that they're invited to come to the United States. They can try this parole, but I would definitely focus on O1 and AW as a quicker way to secure status while they're doing this.
Sure, perfect.